Antipodes, Part 2. We're continuing our journey with the same cast of characters. Mysterious are the ways of evolution. While Australia is only 1,300 miles away from New Zealand, and while Australia has a multitude of species of snakes, lizards, and mammals, New Zealand has zilch, zero, nada, no great lizards, no snakes, no scorpions, no spiders, and no mosquitoes? No mosquitoes? How awesome is that? Due to the absence of mammals, lizards and snakes, kiwi, the New Zealand icon, evolved as a flightless bird. And so did many other New Zealand birds, like wika, kapo, and takahe. There are 3 million New Zealanders, but they are outnumbered 10 to 1 by sheep and 3 to 1 by cows. New Zealanders are a beer-guzzling nation. They consume only 12 liters of wine per person per year, leaving the remaining 255 million liters they produce for us. Our adventure begins on the western flank of the South Island, the part of New Zealand that could easily be passed off as Norway. Inside the fjord, sheer rocky cliffs disappear into inky waters. Trees precariously cling to the vertical slopes, and we have a classic combination of fjordland mist and drizzle. Here it rains 1 inch each day, 360 days a year. Sweet water from rainfall and numerous waterfalls creates a 10-meter layer above the salt water and obstructs the light. Salt water here is darker than in the ocean. Many organisms that normally live at the depth of 200 meters here thrive at 40 meters and can be easily observed. Milford Sound has special marine observatory for that purpose. The entrance to the sound is completely invisible while navigating the Tasman Sea. In February 1770, Captain Cook, while exploring western coast of New Zealand, entirely missed the fjord entrance. He missed it again in 1773. It was discovered some 50 years later by an Irish settler. As we were leaving the fjord, there was a momentary break from the rain, and a few feeble rays illuminated the coastline and a rocky hangout of seals and sea lions. After sailing around the southern tip of New Zealand through Foveaux Strait, we drop anchor at Dunedin, which in Scottish Gaelic means Edinburgh. The area was settled by pious and industrious Scots in 1848, who to this day never miss a chance to bring out their bagpipes and have erected a statue of their bard, Robbie Burns, right in the center of town. The center of Dunedin is called the Octagon, and besides Robbie Burns, it has the City Hall, sizable modern art museum, an imposing Anglican cathedral. And shopping, of course. short distance from the Octagon is the most photographed building in New Zealand, Dunedin Railway Station. Built in 1903, it is home to Taieri Railway. Although railway personnel dates back to the 19th century, the coach cars are modern, comfortable, with glass upper windows for panoramic views. The railroad tracks follow the twists and turns of the Taieri River. The river for millennia cut into the rock and created the Taieri Gorge. First section of the railway opened in 1879, and since then played a major role in development of the area, carrying tons of farm produce to Dunedin and Port Chalmers. Our destination is a quiet hamlet of Pukerangi, which in Maori means the hill of heaven. North of Dunedin, Banks Peninsula was formed by a gigantic volcanic eruption. Akaroa is only 80 kilometers from Christchurch, where 7.8 earthquake leveled the city in 2016. So, the area is still seismically active. Summit Road is an absurdly beautiful drive around the edge of the crater. With every turn, your camera is furiously clicking as if you wanted to take it all with you. The road leads us inland, into the heart of Canterbury District, the gate to the Southern Alps. Past Lake Emma, we stop to pose for pictures. And then the paved road changes to gravel and gradually descends to the bottom of the vast Rangitata River Valley, surrounded by snow-covered mountains. We are now in the fairy tale country of the Rohan people from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Their capital, Edoras, was located here. The hall of the Rohan king, Theoden, proudly stood on Mount Sunday, which rises 611 meters from the valley floor as a rock outcropping of sheer walls and flat top. This is where the film set was built. Nothing remains of it now, but the Lord of the Rings magic is still in the air. Somehow we become brave knights and fearless women warriors. We fight life and death duels and celebrate victories. From the vantage of Mount Sunday, we take in the 360 panorama of green meadows and tall grasses softly bowing to the wind, crystal rivers and brooks, low clouds draped over the cliffs, and snow-capped peaks closing the horizon. Defying the chronology of the Hobbit saga and our trip, next we visit Shire, the bucolic setting of the Hobbit's home, Bag End, East Farthing, and the Green Dragon Inn. On the North Island, outside the sleepy town of Matamata, Peter Jackson's location scouts found Alexander's sheep farm, which proved to be a perfect setting for the Shire. Gently undulating green hills dotted with an occasional oak made an incomparable landscape for all the hobbit halls and all small details of Hobbit's pastoral lifestyle. we imagined our lives as hobbits. We desperately wanted to fit in. But our overgrown ambitions and the lack of inside plumbing also local immigration rules prevented our permanent stay. So we headed across the pond to the town of East Farthing. And eventually made our way to the Green Dragon Inn, the center of Hobbit social life. There, at the appropriately named Dragon Bar, we ordered a green frothy substance called dragon juice, which turned out to be an ale-like potion promoting the growth of pointed ears. Back on track, we arrive in the windy city of Wellington. Located pretty much in the middle of the country, on the shores of Fitzroy Bay, Wellington became the capital of New Zealand in 1865. Among New Zealand's parliamentary buildings, the most distinctive is the Beehive, designed by the British architect Sir Basil Spencer and completed in 1980. It is true for most cities with colonial past that their architecture is a mix of old and new, and Wellington is no exception. When Wellington was freshly crowned as the capital, it needed a prominent religious building to confirm its new status. St. Paul's Church is a stunning example of timber Gothic revival. It is constructed entirely from native timbers and inside looks like an upturned galleon. Stained glass windows add a rosy glow to the vaulted wooden arches. The borough of Taunton, where the church is located, is also known for its Victorian architecture. Old wooden homes, now lovingly restored, climb the steep hills facing the harbor. It is an upscale residential neighborhood. On the top of the hill, we find not only the sweeping views of the city, but also one of its big-ticket attractions, the little red cable car. We take the ride downslope, against the traffic. Normally, the cable car clunks up the slope, bringing tourists and locals to visit Wellington Botanical Gardens and Carter Observatory. Carefree as children, we enjoy the ride. The area where the city of Napier is located has been settled by Maori tribes since the 12th century. In 1854, the British arrived, anxious to build a city, which they did on a major fault line. 76 years later, the fault ruptured and leveled the city in a catastrophic earthquake. Napier was meticulously rebuilt in the reigning architectural style of the day, Art Deco. Thanks to the rebuilding program, the city is today the Art Deco capital of the world. Now we travel south of Napier to Te Apiti Valley, where Waimarama people live. They settled these coastal hills and valleys 800 years ago. We are visiting what remains of the Hakikino Fortress, built 350 years ago to protect Waimarama settlements. One of the signatories of the treaty founding New Zealand was Waimarama chief Harawiza Mahikai. Traditional facial tattoos indicate his status as chief and his lineage. Today, Hakikino site is part of a farm run by Hokainga family dedicated to keeping Waimarama traditions alive. Aliana Hokainga proudly wears her tamoko, Maori tattoos, and together with her children presents their native songs, games, and rituals. Thompson Hokainga, Aliana's husband, is a master carver as well as a musician. Putatara, the shell trumpet made of native conch shell and wooden mouthpiece, was usually used to call social gatherings for ceremonial purposes. This indigenous Maori instrument, called putorino, resembles the cocoon of the bag moth and produces a variety of voices. At the end of his presentation, Thompson plays clapping sticks and sings for us a farewell song. Back in Napier, we come across a beautifully carved Maori communal house and a group of Maori city folk celebrating a wedding, which blends Western influences with Maori traditions. Our northbound voyage takes us next to the Bay of Plenty. We are dropping anchor at the port of Tauranga, gateway to New Zealand's Yellowstone. This entire area is seismically active. Waiotapu Park covers some 18 square kilometers and is located at the edge of an enormous volcanic caldera. From wooden walkways and bridges, we observe collapsing craters, boiling pools of mud and water, and hissing and steaming fumaroles. Boiling springs and volcanic gases introduce numerous minerals to the main water flow and account for the rotten egg smell of the area, associated with hydrogen sulfide. The wide range of colors on the ground is due to various mineral elements being present. Yellow from sulfur, orange indicates presence of the element antimony and sulfides of arsenic. Electric green is the color of sulfur deposits floating on the surface of the water. The green hue changes depending on the amount of reflected light. Orakei Korako is another active area at the edge of Orakei Lake. Here, entire hillsides are covered with stunning mineral terraces made of glittering silica. Again, hot water cascading over the silica and volcanic fumes account for the presence of many minerals responsible for the rainbow of colors. Manganese oxide for purple, sulfur for yellow, and a mixture of manganese and iron oxide for pink. While we watch from raised wooden walkways, steam vents suddenly open on the hillside, and small geysers erupt just a few yards from our feet. And all this unpredictable geothermal turbulence is surrounded by the serene tropical landscape. Waitomo Caves is a system of many limestone caverns and rivers that flow through them. Caves were discovered in 1887 by the duo of Maori chief Tenorau and English surveyor Fred Mace. In many aspects, these caves are similar to the limestone caverns in other locations. Dramatic lighting unveils fantastic rock formations: stalactites, stalagmites, pillars, columns, and drapes. All of them are present here on the first dry level. However, on a second level, where the river flows, we board a boat and in complete darkness float into the glowworm grotto. An incredible, surreal view of Milky Way and stars and galaxies beyond opens up above us. These are glowworms at work, earning their next meal. And here's how the glowworm magic works. Glowworms are larvae attached to the rocks above the subterranean river. They have luminescent organs and produce sticky hanging threads which trap insects attracted by their lights. The last leg of our journey takes us to Hauraki Gulf and Auckland, the city situated on a narrow isthmus and blessed with two harbors on the western and eastern side of the city. Our ship docks on the western side in Waitemata Harbor, which is smack in the middle of downtown Auckland. The tallest building in the southern hemisphere, the Sky Tower, is located here. Unfortunately, we have overcast skies, but still, the panoramic views of the city and Hauraki Gulf are spectacular. In Auckland, we're staying in Parnell, one of the most affluent and oldest suburbs. It dates back to the earliest days of European settlement of the area in 1841. On the balcony of our apartment, we're toasting our arrival in Auckland. The undulating topography of Parnell allows for magnificent views of the downtown and the harbor. On top of the hill, we pay a visit to Parnell Village. Les Harvey, local businessman in the 70s, imagined this section of Parnell Road as a quaint shopping and restaurant area serving then mostly residential suburb. He was right on target. Today, Parnell Village is a unique old-world destination popular with both locals and tourists. Also in Parnell is the Anglican Holy Trinity Cathedral. It is a hodgepodge of architectural styles designed as a multi-purpose space, place of worship, concert hall, and community center. Its most unique element are the stained glass windows. They feature Polynesian Christ and other vividly colored South Pacific motifs. These two familiar-looking gents are heading in the direction of Auckland Domain, another must-visit location, walking distance from Parnell. Domain is an 80 hectares green space in the heart of the city. It contains Auckland Museum, formal gardens, sports fields, and winter garden with fernery, tropical house, and a pond. Lovely place for a brief rest. Auckland Museum is an imposing neoclassical edifice. Standing on a modest hill, it is a prominent part of the city's skyline. Inside the courtyard, the entry to the museum galleries has a very modern look. We are here to view the greatest collection of Maori artifacts in the world. Face masks, the entirely reconstructed carved meeting house, the 25-meter-long war canoe, the totem poles, and other mythical sculptures.
Oh, whakarongo mai e te iwi nei, whakarongo mai e te motu nei, a koutou tātou, piriki ngā hāhi tau I a paki, e kore te Māori tangi e taki a tātou, he mangu taipo.
Maori were courageous, resourceful, and fierce people who settled New Zealand, traveling across the South Pacific from Polynesia in the 12th century. One of the most peculiar Maori traditions was preserving heads of the deceased high-ranking men and women whose faces were decorated with tamoto, elaborate tattoos tracing their lineage. The practice was abolished in 1841, when New Zealand became a British colony. By then, so many preserved heads had been taken to England that their largest collection, owned by an Englishman, was sold to New York Natural History Museum in 1908. Auckland Museum offers the most authentic exhibition of Maori traditional rituals, chants, games, and dances that now have become a part of the heritage of modern New Zealand. And here we are, enjoying our last supper in New Zealand. Till the next time!